So Sunday evening, I went out and spent some time with my family, and it was just an incredible time in terms of how freely I felt around them. I told my dad about the original thing, so he knew about the suicide aspect. I just shared bits and parts with the rest of the family because I figured I didn't want to. My dad was there partly for accountability and partly for because I wanted to know that chance. I wanted to see me as I was, because he's still my dad. He's still he's a dad. He's gonna advise and give feedback and things like that. But it was just a great time with the family. I was telling them about my experiment, about certain things with it, about the different rejection things I did, and different looking bad things I did, and I had a great conversation with my aunts around when I peed myself twice, and they were just like they loved how freeing it was, and they were like, oh, that's great. You're like breaking down all those rules you were given and going back to nature and finding yourself and peeling away the layers of the onion, and it was just a great conversation. And I noticed how much when they were talking about things that they didn't want. Normally, when people kind of complain about things or talk about things that they don't want, I just remind them, why would you give your attention to something you don't want? Or in the case of like family, I would just sit there and quietly just be like, not think about it or just zone out. But this time, I was just listening and then loving it and seeing it seeing and just feeling great, even though the conversation was about something that sucked. It was about Milwaukee Public Schools and how crappy the system is in terms of busing people all over the place and paying millions of dollars for all the busing, and then having it so that parents don't go to parent-teacher conferences because their school's all the way across town, and so they're not going to take a bus to go to some parent-teacher conference, and so there's different things like that. But I just totally connected with it and loved it and had a great time. And then I had a great time hanging out with all my younger cousins, who are like between 9 and 15 or 16, and just totally connected, totally great time. And I think my grandma said something really amazing. She was like, well, we all have limitations, but sometimes we have self-imposed limitations. And that really hit the nail on the head for me in terms of what I'm trying. I'm not trying to make it so that I can, I'm trying to get rid of those self-imposed limitations, and that's what it's all about. So I just felt so good to be around my family, who normally I would be kind of quiet around, or not so much myself, and just totally be myself. And I didn't have to bring up like the shocking aspects of things. I could just bring up the things that I thought I thought they were ready to hear, and I didn't ruffle any feathers or anything. It was just a great time. And so it's good to have that aspect of my life changing now too.